Okay, so now I'm going to talk about what is an extracellular membrane, and I will show you a video that summarizes all that information with animation. I think that is very clear. Then I will tell you that the extracellular membrane of these different tissues, bones, cartilage, and connective tissue, although all of them have an extracellular membrane, all of them will be slightly different. And then I will talk about that independent of the extracellular membrane, you will find two main components that you can, and we will talk about laminin, fibronectin, collagen, elastins, and proteoglycans. So the structural fibers are the collagen, and we will talk about that in the videos. And this is very important for the formation of cancer. The adhesive molecules, so we will talk, and in the video you will see that they will talk about laminin and fibronectins. And finally, I just want that you remember that there are components that are the proteoglycans, and we also going to be briefly talking about these three things. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a video about the extracellular membrane. And key component here, the extracellular membrane, it only takes place in animal cells. Yeah, and well, we have been talking all the time about mutation and oncogenes. Now here we're going to switch the page and talk in a completely different in a completely different way, and say, the context of the cell is very important, and the context of the cell make a difference, and it can tell a cell to stop proliferating or go through apoptosis. So it also play an important role in the development of cancer, in the cancer progression in different stages. So here,
the human
we are
body
going to
is formed
just
from a
do
single
big
cell
summary
that
of what
divides
is
into
the
trillions
extracellular
of
membrane.
cells, which make up the unique organs of our bodies. All cells in the human body carry the same genetic material. The only way they know how to interact, behave, and form the organs is because of the context that surrounds them. This context is called the extracellular matrix. The extracellular matrix is a dynamic three-dimensional network that provides stability, signaling, and structural support to the organs. The main type of proteins in the extracellular matrix is collagens. Several different types of collagen exist. One example is type 1 collagen that creates fibers and provides strength and support to the organs. Another example is type 4 collagen that is found below the cells. Type 4 collagen forms a structure that helps maintain the barrier between tissue compartments and work as the first line of defense. It interacts with other proteins and thereby enables signaling to the cells. The collagens are different in all organs of the human body. This means that the collagens of the heart are different from the collagens of the liver and lungs. In the lungs, for example, the alveoli membrane is mainly composed of type 4 collagen, which helps the exchange of oxygen into the blood. During development of chronic diseases such as lung fibrosis, the collagens in the interstitial matrix expand. The tissue becomes stiff, leading to a decreased lung function that can be life-threatening for the patient. The change in the collagens is seen not only in lung diseases but in most chronic diseases, such as cancer and cardiovascular diseases. The common denominator of all chronic diseases is severe tissue damage resulting in cell death and changes in collagen composition. Inflammatory cells migrate to the site of damage, secrete proteases, and consequently break down the collagen fibers, releasing collagen fragments into the environment. Fibroblasts are then activated to build large, complex collagen fibers. To form the fibers, the fibroblasts secrete collagen proteins. During this process, end fragments are cleaved off to enable attachment of the collagen proteins to each other. Just like building blocks, The proteins come together to produce the strong fibers. The cleaved off fragments are then released into the environment where they attract more inflammatory cells. This maintains the vicious circle of build-up and breakdown of collagens that fuel the chronic diseases. Both the build-up and breakdown collagen fragments are released into the blood, where they circulate together with blood cells and can be used as targets for blood-based biomarkers. Collagens are structured as a triple helix, where different domains of the same collagen provide unique information. Some fragments reflect tissue buildup, some reflect tissue breakdown, and others are signaling fragments. In patients with chronic diseases, there is an increase in tissue buildup, tissue breakdown, and signaling fragments, while in healthy subjects, there is a finely tuned balance of the tissue. The levels of tissue remodeling vary from the individual chronic diseases.
Okay, so I'm going to stop the video there because this video is from a company that is trying to sell us their equipment. But the idea that I wanted to show you, they describe perfectly what is the importance of the extracellular membrane, and they move into a very important section, that is that the extracellular membrane modification in that is linked to diseases, and we're going to talk in terms of cancer. And I stop here because they told you that there are different components. Yeah, some components of this protein will be in charge of the remodeling. Some of those components will be in charge of the signaling. Yeah, and we will talk about these kind of things, that the different components of the focal adhesions, in particular of the integrins, are going to be in charge of the signaling. Yeah, so some of them will be attached in some section of the cell, and some of them will be attached to different signaling pathways, and those are key to understand cancer. Okay, so at the end of the class, I hope that you can see a connection between pathways and the signaling process due to this the extracellular membrane. Okay, so let's move to the next section. So just to remind you here, I want that you remember the extracellular matrix is only found in animal cells, as we said before. In plants, you have other tissues, other structures. So if you remember, there's the cell wall there. Here you have the in animals the extracellular matrix, and each one of, as they describe in the video, each tissue will have slightly different extracellular membrane. Not going to go into a lot of detail here. This is a topic of anatomy and physiology, but I just want that you observe that one of them will be more rigid, so it will have a different amount of collagen, of fibroblasts. Other ones will be more elastic because they are, for example, here there's you can see the fibroblast, because they are, some of them are for support, and the other one, it give flexibility to the tissue. So for that reason, the components will be different. Although all of them have extracellular matrix, the ECM, the components will be different depending on the cellular environment. And what a cancer does is just express the incorrect extracellular matrix in a different tissue, and it changes all the signaling. So let's talk a little bit more about the extracellular matrix. So if you're interested in this topic, in the textbooks, you can find a lot of information about the extracellular membrane, and in the cell biology textbook, you can go and read it in more detail. But the idea is that, as I said before, from a very general perspective, the bones, the extracellular matrix will be more rigid. Why? Because the extracellular matrix contains a small number of interspaced cells, so the cells will be closer together. On the other hand, the cartilage will have a different, it will be constructed in a different way. So the matrix and the extracellular matrix materials will be more flexible than the bones. Yeah, so again, there is no need that you memorize any of those components. I just wanted to tell you extracellular membrane is important, and it changes between tissues. And what cancer is doing is changing that extracellular membrane. And if it has later in the video lecture, you see that if you change the extracellular membrane, bad things can happen. Here, I talk a little bit more about the connective tissue, that if the connective tissue surrounding blood vessels and glands, the structure is slightly different, and it has a interspace fibroblast cells. So here you can see in this tissue all the different fibroblasts around their area. That it will be very important because they, as you watch in the video, they secrete collagen that is a support structure. Okay, so now let's move into the different type of molecules that are involving the extracellular matrix now that we talk about the collagen. Okay, there are three type of ECM molecules, as I said in the beginning. So despite the diversity of tissues, all of them will have these three components: structural proteins, uh, protoglycans that are sugar and proteins, and adhesive glycoproteins. Okay, so let's start with the structural proteins such as collagen and elastin. So here you have the collagen, and here you see the elastins, and as you're watching the video, they're in charge of providing the strength and the flexibility. Yeah, it's very important, and they are secreted by fibroblasts, as I said before. Now, the second component are the protein polysaccharide complex, like the protoglycans that are in charge of providing the extracellular matrix with viscoelasticity. So here in green, you can see uh, the protoglycans that they are also the correct function of the protoglycan. If it's located in the right way, it allowed not only to give this viscoelasticity, but it allowed to the proper signalings to be sent. Finally, in addition to the structural proteins where you have the collagen and the elastin, in addition to the protoglycan, you will have these adhesive glycoproteins like fibronectins and laminins that allow the cells to attach to the matrix. So you will see here that the sorry, the integrins will attach to the fibronectin, and they will send signals. And most of the class I will be repeating that idea. Okay, so with this in mind, I just wanted to conclude that you already know what is the extracellular membrane. This quick reminder, and you already know what are the main components. So you already know that not only they are located only in animals, they have the structure of fibers like collagen and elastins. They have protoglycans, and they have adhesive molecules like fibronectins. In the next section, I will talk about a division of the extracellular membrane that happen that there is the basal lamina, and we are going to talk a little bit more about the basal lamina and the importance for cancer.